We have in the studio Kobe Echampong, immaculately well dressed, and I love your outfit. Okay, now Kobe Echampong is the acting executive director for the Ghana Youth Entrepreneurial Development Agency. It's called GIDA. Okay, and Philip London. Philip London is a development planner. Is that it?
And economist.
Oh, and economist as well. Land economist. He's also a businessman, I have to add that, and a member of the MPP. Thanks for joining me, Philip. Okay, now we'll discuss the budget. But from the weekend, we've had reports about this cocaine bust of a young lady in the UK, and purportedly now embroiled in a lot of political descriptions and speculation. And now we've had a way clearly cut about who the identity was and what she was doing there and what passport, etc. she was traveling on. What do you make of the whole incident?
Well, good morning, and good morning to our viewers. I think first and foremost, the important thing about this thing is to distinguish that this is a crime, and the political linkages is something else. Unfortunately, in our country, in past experience, there has been a very heavy attempt to link persons involved in such criminal activity with the parties that they are associated with, and actually begin to now even brand the party. The New Patriotic Party has suffered a lot from this, because at one point it was in government, some people associated with the party were involved in such criminal activity, and of course those on the other side endeavored to do their best to tarnish the reputation of the party. In so doing, they did very well in damaging the reputation of our country, because if you are trying to associate a ruling government with such a criminal activity, you're not scoring political points for yourself, you are damaging all of us. And this is unfortunately what has happened in the past. In this particular case, yes, it was a crime. Yes, the lady may be associated with a party. She may be associated with certain key persons in the ruling party. But it is a crime, and this crime, the particulars of the crime, raise certain questions which we will want to deal with. She was carrying over 12 kilos.
That's small.
Small? Yes, this is true. People, try and ship larger quantities, like we've seen on TV in Colombia and all that, shiploads and all that. But it's still a lot of such stuff, heavy, to be carried in personal luggage, because usually what you hear is about a kilo plus or minus some grams, either inserted, swallowed, plastered to body parts, put in shoes, etc. But that quantity for that type of travel is a lot. So for a person to have passed through our various checks and gone across and then be apprehended there, that is the problem. It suggests some very heavy collusion by certain individuals. It is important that before anybody starts giving excuses, they pursue the individuals who colluded, because she could not have done this without some local collusion. And it is those persons that we must look for and identify and deal with. Now, when she got there, the reports we are getting is that the authorities had been watching her for some time. And in this particular bust, when she was grabbed, they chose not to alert their local partners. Probably they had a fear that there may be a leak in that system.
Which local partners?
Oh, I mean, drug enforcement agencies work with.
But we're told in a following statement that the Narcotics Control Board said, well, they were working closely with their counterparts in the UK.
That is
so
correct.
So it can happen that your statement is right.
It is correct that the National Narcotics Control Board has said that they were in collusion. But it is also correct, and it's also true, that the British authorities have also said that they did not collude. They did not inform their partners. This is all part of the investigation. We should know the truth. So for me, these are the key issues. As to which party or the other, at the end of the day, this is our country. We must, be careful how we do these things and learn from these things moving forward. Isolate the crime from persons. If it is established that yes, some party or some persons were involved, deal with it separately. But I don't want to, at this point in time, begin to brush.
You smell mischief that after the weekend or after church, then social media went agog with a lot of NDC branded people in photos, and young ladies, beautiful, said to be couriers, drug couriers.
Well, Roland, that's very unfortunate, but you see, that is the way we approach issues in this country, particularly an important issue as narcotic drug smuggling, which for me is something that we should not countenance at all, for the simple reason that I use a simple analysis. I say, look, if 50 kilograms of cocaine comes into your country and 20 is smuggled out, 30 still remains here and is used, which means there is a market here for the drugs, which means people use the drugs in here. That is what we should be worried about. You cannot say 50 kilograms came, 20 left, so the 30 is going somewhere. People are using it right here, which means gradually we are building a culture of people using narcotic drugs. For me, that is the warning sign. Having said that, let us trace the genesis of this story carefully. This story, as far as I was concerned, because I monitored it Saturday night, was first put on Ghana Web Say It Loud forum by somebody in the United States. I know the person, but I wouldn't disclose who he is. The version he put there made allusions to the fact that this lady who had been apprehended was carrying a diplomatic passport, Ghanaian diplomatic passport. The ending session also made allusions to the fact that she was connected to people in government. And that is the version that was also put out by an organization like CTFM. That same version. Now, come to find out, that version is not true. The attribution even made in connection with that version was for a West African Media Online, a newscaster. Portal.
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. So when I did my checks and realized that these things do not add up, I just said, well, it's one of those things coming. And true to form, after all the evidence had been gathered, we turned out that the woman was carrying an Austrian passport on which she traveled, and a Ghanaian passport that was not used, a Ghanaian ordinary passport too. There is no mention of any connection to government officials as far as even the British are concerned, because the actual story that came out from a Heathrow Village News, you know. And for me, this is significant because, one, if somebody is traveling on an Austrian passport and the British people apprehend such a person, the question you want to ask is, would they make a big deal out of it? The answer is no. Because he's an EU citizen. They take it like an ordinary crime. You have been busted. That's the end of story. The worrying part is the slant of the story, making it look like, one, she was carrying a diplomatic passport and she's connected to people in government, you know. For me, that is where we have to worry, because then there's this issue of equalization by those people who put a story, they're trying to create that equalization account. Look, we know in this country, whether we like it or not, that a member of the Honorable House has been busted for drugs before. That member had served time in the United States, just recently returned.
So you're saying that's fact?
That is fact.
And we can hide out.
We cannot hide away from it. You understand? I don't like to get into this party did this party did this. I don't believe in that. Drug smuggling is a crime against humanity as far as I'm concerned. If you're busted, you need to face the full rigors of the law. That's it. Pure and simple. Because like I said, my earlier statement was that, look, when drugs come into your country, don't assume that it's all going to go out. No, it's not going to go out. People will use it. And I've seen this live when I lived in the US. My neighbor was a computer programmer who was making $80,000 a year. Just from using drugs alone, he ended up on the streets because he owed drug dealers money from his daily habit. Now, $80,000 a year, and you end up sleeping on the streets? That's a serious issue. So don't let us trivialize this thing by attaching parties to it. Doesn't solve the problem. The issue is we need to deal with it. We don't want this issue to become manifest in our country. And look, go to Tudu. Tudu is not far from here. Go and see people who are drug addicts, living on the streets, attacking people at night, snatching phones. Those are the mundane issues that we need to concentrate on by stopping the drugs from coming here in the first place before it gets out again. That's what we need. Okay. As for attaching party labels to it, it's a non-starter. We waste our time when we do that. And trust me, the argument that is being made is that how did the person get out? Look, I've served as a member of the Narcotics Control Board of Governing Council. And I know for a fact that sometimes they do sting operations. They do a lot of sting operations. Sohin Security, Adelakwe, it was a sting operation between SOCA, Operation Westbridge, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency.
The case at the airport,
yes,
security.
Exactly. It was a sting operation. Amwate and Ajay, it was a sting operation. When they realized they were exporting this thing in huge quantities, it was a sting operation. They allowed them to come through, track them to the warehouses where they store these artifacts on which the cocaine.
Because you need adequate evidence.
Exactly. Sting operations are normal. The fact that this person has gone through our system might raise eyebrows, but the fact that she was apprehended tells you that there was a certain level of cooperation that was existing. Look, you want to establish the source. Probably our local counterparts have established the source.
But they wanted to know who she was going to give.
Exactly, the distribution channel at the end of the.
If you don't, exactly.
If you don't apprehend at that point, and she gets into the system.
Someone will say that's good excuse for government.
You see, it's not about good excuse. It's about the reality of the situation in which we.
In terms of how the intelligence gathers in the industry.
Exactly. You know, all these guys we recruit are trained in scoping simple things, walking the street to even determine which houses are liable to be used by drug dealers. They are trained. So let us give credit to the fact that this person has been apprehended. With time, she'll be placed before the law courts in England, and the facts will come unravel. That's it. As for this labeling and stuff, I don't believe it's the way to solve
Good
the problem.
point Kobe makes, but the fact of the case remains that, I mean, she took 12 kilos of drugs out of our airport.
Yes.
I mean, the security,
yes.
What happened,
yes.
Some level of laxity there, but also complicity.
Well, you see, we are being told it could have been a sting operation. That would be a very good excuse for every situation that occurs. It could be a very
But indeed, sting operations do happen.
We know that for a fact. We know that for a fact. You see, but we cannot just say when we don't know that it's a sting operation. And there was reference to a sitting member of parliament who has served time, etc. Yes. Well, I don't see how that came into this particular argument, though, because the problem we have as a country is that people will commit crime. Not necessarily in Ghana, it's everywhere. They will hide under various guises, under sports, under political banners, under religious banners, under the cover of doing various religious movements, etc. It is a worldwide case that all agencies are dealing with. That is what we have here, and that's what we have to deal with. This problem will not go away. It will be with us for as long as time is. It is for the agencies to work against it. And when these things come up, let us deal with it objectively. Because there's always a political issue that comes up. I'm doing my best to keep out of the political matter because it doesn't help anybody. And as a country, we should move away from that. Whether you like it or not, somebody will come and support your party. The person might, you never know what is at the person's head. That person is giving you all the support and all the energy and everything, but what is their real intention? You can never tell until maybe something happens. So this is something that's happened, whether we like it or not. This is a big embarrassment to our country. Nobody is going to accept it anywhere in the world that this was a sting operation. This has happened. This is a person who is associated with people. Roland, by virtue of your position, you are associated with a lot of people. Somebody says this person committed a crime, which is associated with Roland. It may be a fact. It doesn't mean Roland was involved. So these are the realities. And these are the realities we must accept and deal with, and not try and take cover. Because whether we like it or not, it will always be with us.
Well, can I react quickly? My allusion to the member of parliament who was arrested, served time, and has come back was for the simple fact that, you know, our friends are trying to do what I call the equalization.
At least I am not.
Well, you are not, but that is what has happened.
Because it happens here too.
Exactly, but what makes this one so serious is the fact that, if you went on social media, they did a transposition of pictures. Somebody who was completely innocent had her picture put there, and all kinds of attributions were made. A poor girl, somebody I taught in the AUCC, Francisca J's picture was the one that was used to say she had been busted. She was standing by an NDC branded vehicle, and therefore that was what was being put out.
So legitimized.
Exactly. Trying to create the impression that, well, if an MP had been busted, it is the time of the NDC also to be busted. But you see, that was not reality. There was a difference between Nayeli Ametefe and Francisca J. They are not the same.
Yeah, but at the same
No, please, they are not the same. That is where I brought in the fact that, look, there are facts that you can't dispute. But when you try to transpose something that is not, it creates a problem. It creates a real problem. You see, what you are doing to Francisca is defamation. You are defaming her for something she has no knowledge of.
So you're advising her she should go and seek
I'm not advising, I'm not a legal person. It is for her to take that decision herself.
I mean, you are taught press lawyer.
Exactly.
So
But she has to take that from a civil platform. That is fine. It's okay. That is the reason for bringing that empathy. Because at the end of the day, if you listen to social, if you listen to talk, it's about an NDC person has done this, that, and I'm saying that will not help this country. It is a simple criminal act. The person has been apprehended, and the person must face the rigors of the law. End of story.
How do we clamp down on this? Because I'm sure somebody will be busted. Yesterday I was reading a report by a special UN envoy, and he said even judicial systems, police law enforcement agencies can't even deal with the impact of the drug trade in the world, especially in developing countries. And the West African coast was mentioned, and we're still in the coast, right? We haven't moved from the geographic area.
This is an ongoing battle worldwide, not limited to Ghana. I mean, the United States government is spending so much resources in fighting this problem. Between US and Mexico, they have a lot of problems. There's a particular operation. The Mexicans suspect that the US group who are trying to fight this particular case, there's somebody in there they're not too sure about. They don't want to talk to the Americans. The Americans are handling another case. They are following somebody. They feel that no, there's somebody that among the Mexicans they're not too comfortable with, they're not too sure. So this is a constant situation. What we have to do is to take out the politics. Mind you, on the issue of the political association, I'm saying that I'm steering clear of that. I don't want us to, because as a country, I don't think we should go there. But in terms of association, some of the things that people are referring to, it's not a photograph somebody took by an NDC branded vehicle. It is other things, and I'm not going to go into that.
Well, at least that's what came out.
Okay, so that is what you...
No, that's what came out.
My point is, I see, if we go that way, then we are also adding more fuel to it.
So we should just stop the politicization.
That's why I'm keeping out of that.
It's not as if any political party has any certain disposition towards.
No, human beings are human beings.
It's the same point I'm raising.
Human beings are human beings, and they will do it under the government. Look, that's what I'm saying, that under sports people will do it, under religion people will do it. Whatever, people will do it. Any cover they will.
Perhaps you just have to wait for the day when a prominent member of the NDC will be caught in this. Then perhaps it will equal.
No. I pray. You see, I pray if somebody is caught doing it, may that person be caught doing it on his own right.
Because if you're a member of parliament and you're caught, you're a prominent member of the party, aren't you? Because to have gone through all the processes of going to primaries and being elected and nationally, etc., yes. That's huge. Yes. You have your great impact in the party.
Not too long ago, recently, in Haiti, a UN commander, he befriended a local girl. Before he knew what's happening, the girl had got involved in all kinds of things, problems. So these things happen. You see, I'm saying that the authorities must deal with this case.
Okay.
If there are people associated with anybody, whether the person is in the party, in the government, or wherever, they should deal with the person.
All right, now let's